a lot of times what it all boils down to what was in psyche and all that comes to our identity. How do we define it? How do we identify ourselves? How we describe ourselves? So what I would say is like, not only are you struggling, I would say get out of a struggling mindset, but I would also say adopt a thriving mindset. So like in my context with artists and actors, for some reason, the starving artist archetype has been romanticized.
Yeah.
And I don't see a point in that. So that if you come with the identity or you embody the identity of the starving artist, what's going to happen is you're going to be sabotaging for other opportunities. And a lot of people play small, unfortunately. It's like they downplay their achievements.
Right. Yes.
And they appear small and take small-minded actions. And that is a form of self-sabotage.
Yes. Self-deprecation. Exactly. That was one of my first few episodes of the podcast when I had just begun. And I was so intrigued by that topic because I see so many people doing it. And I sometimes still do it till date, where I will put myself down and, I will show myself like, oh yeah, this is nothing, even you could have done it. So yeah, I agree. That is great. What about self-esteem, Bert? You talk about a difference between toxic self-esteem and the good kind of self-esteem. What's the difference?
It really, in a very simple answer, humility. Being humble. That would be the biggest thing. Now, self-esteem really, and this has been written about for decades, and it's probably one of the most hot topics ever written. There's thousands, tens of thousands of books and articles about self-esteem, and that's important. So our self-esteem is very important. However, what I've noticed is if you have low self-esteem, you tend to not really set yourself apart that way. In a sense, so you put yourself down. Now, with healthy self-esteem, you celebrate your achievements, your wins, and you feel you're deserving. Now, with toxic high self-esteem is when you take it to the point where you're better than everybody else, and you walk around with a bit of arrogance, or just being pompous or arrogant, where you believe that you're better than everybody else. Why that is important, especially in the context of self-sabotage, is you're not open to feedback. You're not open to coaching. So when somebody tells you something that might be helpful feedback or constructive criticism, you start to dismiss them as like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, or you still get really insulted.
Right. Right.
And so it's a saboteur. It's acting as a saboteur because you're not putting yourself out there enough.
Right.
And you're not being coachable. And so you're missing out on key areas of growth. And so this relates to actors all the time because it's like sometimes I'll run into an actor and I'll talk to them and they'll have the mentality where I don't need any training. I have all the training I need. I'm perfect. Just book me. And I'm like, that to me is very limiting because when they get feedback from a director or from a casting director or anything, and that nature, they get highly insulted by that.